Did I wait until the very last minute to film this video? Yes, I did. Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Thank you so much for being here. Today is 1st of January 2025. It feels so weird to say that. And in this video, I will be tier ranking all of the books that I read last year in 2024. So buckle up because this video is going to be so long. So first of all, let's discuss a bit about my 2024 reading goal, how many books I read, the stats that Goodreads sends to all of us at the end of the year. So in 2024, my goal was of 100 books. I have read 153, and the total pages read are 54,327. So now that we are done with the Goodreads stats, let me start screen recording and then we can talk about the categories for today's tier ranking. Starting with the S tier, with the God tier, with the best of the best, la crème de la crème, if you will. I named this talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, completely unique, unafraid to reference and not reference, and I forgot the rest. I think it speaks for itself. The tier below that is So Julia. So Julia, in honor of Charlie and Julia, obviously. The tier below that is kind of like a bit better than mediocre, and I named it, well, yes, these are books that I would recommend. But I don't think they're like amazing or unique, or they're a bit better than just fine. For the books that I think are just okay, they're nothing special, but they were fine, I named this tier a library card. Would I advise you to read them? Well, if you borrowed them from the library, sure, but I wouldn't spend my money on them. Next up, we have Go Girl, Give Us Nothing for the books that were disappointing, let's say. The category below that is not on my watch. The books that I don't think are worth a read, I don't think they're worth the hype, and I wouldn't recommend them because I didn't enjoy them. And last but not least, I forgot that you existed. For the books that I kind of forgot about, it doesn't have to be necessarily something good or bad, it's just, yeah, I kind of forgot about this book, I'm not thinking about it. Okay, so with that being said, let's begin. I cannot believe I'm doing this. Okay, so the first book that I started my 2024 with is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. Heartstopper has to go in talented, brilliant, amazing, show-stopping. Yes, I think that's correct. Next up, Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This book is giving unhinged energy. I know it's a favorite of a lot of people. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't think it's like top, but it's a very close second. Yellowface is So Julia. Next up, I have read I always forget the name of this duology. I think it's called The Letters of Enchantment, if I'm not wrong, by Rebecca Ross, so Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. You know what? Divine Rivals, I think it's, I think it's a bit harsh to put it in library card because I remember really liking it. Do I think it's unique or not ever been done before? No, but what it did fine. So actually, you know what? I'm going to put it in well, yes. Because I enjoyed the duology overall. And then Ruthless Vows, I enjoyed a bit better than Divine Rivals. So I'm going to put it in So Julia. I liked that in Ruthless Vows, we got a bit more of the world building, an explanation as to what was happening with the gods and the magic system. And I think I missed that in the first book, in Divine Rivals. It's true that the duology overall doesn't have like a very complex magic system. It truly feels like a historical fiction with fantasy or like magical realism aspects to it, but it's popular. I think it gets people into reading fantasy, so I liked it. I liked it quite a lot. The next book, The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi. This is giving like toxic female friendships, is giving unreliable narrator. It's about these two best friends who pretty much grew up together, and they grow up believing that they will be chosen by the Fae to enter the Fae realm, and they're doing all of these like rituals, and there's like a big plot twist almost near the end of the book. You have a kind of sentient house in this one. Everything is so like decaying and dark and gothic, and I had a great time reading this book. This is talented and brilliant and incredible and amazing and show-stopping, and I will want you to read this book because it's really good. It's really, really good. Another hit, Lie With Me by Philippe Besson. This book made me cry so much. Yeah. Next up, I have a book that I think I've been a bit harsh towards, and that is The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue by V. Schwab. Now, granted, V. Schwab's books are very hit or miss for me. But the more time goes by, the more I kind of realize that I should revisit this book because I don't think I was in a great mind space when I read this one, and I think that's why I disliked it. But not in the sense where I think the book is bad, it's just I feel like this should have been like way shorter. This is 500 and something pages, and you have like an alternate timeline that I didn't really care for. I liked the ending, but I kind of regretted that I bought this, to be honest. So I think this can go in library card for now, but I might want to reread this at some point to see how I feel about it. The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue by V. Schwab. Next up, I have read the Inheritance Games trilogy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Comparing it to the other series from this author that I have read and absolutely loved in 2023, The Naturals, this was a bit flat for me comparing it to The Naturals, but I still enjoyed reading it. It has very short chapters. You feel like you're reading it very fast because of that, and I had a great time. I vividly remember there's this whole plot point with the name of the character and what it actually means, and I was like, this is so stupid, but it also makes so much sense. So, I don't know. It was fine. I don't really know how I feel about the books individually though, because they all kind of merge together for me. So I feel like I'm gonna put them in well, yes. Actually, no, I'm gonna put the first one in well, yes, and then the Hawthorne Legacy and the Final Gambit, I'm gonna put them in library card. Because I think the story tends to be a bit too much in the end. Yeah, The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Next up, another trilogy. I read Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas, and I know that you're supposed to read Crescent City last after you read Throne of Glass and ACOTAR. I decided to not do that, even though everyone told me like, hey, you should read this last. So I read it first. And even though I had the background of some of the characters from ACOTAR and what happens in that series overall, I didn't have like any specifics. But I still knew what the series was about and some of the plot points from that series. I think this is my favorite series from Sarah J. Maas. I know it's controversial, but I didn't really enjoy Throne of Glass that much, if I'm being honest. We'll talk about Throne of Glass later when we get to it. But I feel like comparing it with Throne of Glass, I feel like I like Crescent City a bit better. Or at least the first two books in the series. So, judging the books individually, is the first book the book when we meet Lehaba? I think it is, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna put Crescent City 1, House of Earth and Blood, in, well, yes. Well, yes. Next up, House of Sky and Breath. Um, I... So, Julia. So, Julia, I was thinking to put it in Talented, Brilliant, Incredible, but I think that's a bit too much. So, for the moment, it's going to go in So, Julia. And House of Flame and Shadow. What do I think about this one? Did I enjoy reading it? Yes. Did it make sense? No. Am I going to read House of Many Waters when that will come out? Yes. Go Girl, Give Us Nothing for House of Flame and Shadow. I'm sorry. Also, now I'm realizing that Day and Night is like a character couple, but I don't want to say their names because it's a spoiler. Day and Night are probably my favorite like character couple from the books that I read in 2024, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right. Also, if you are reading Crescent City, I went on Pinterest to like search for fan art of a specific character, and I spoiled myself. So just be aware of that and don't click on the descriptions of the fan art because you might spoil yourself. Okay, next up, I have Cursed Bread by Sophie Mackintosh. I forgot that you existed. I didn't really like this one. The premise of this one sounded very like strange and interesting. That's why I bought it, but it kind of felt flat for me. I don't ever think about this book, so I forgot that you existed. I think that's right. Violet Band Backwards Over the Grass by Lana Del Rey. This is giving So Julia energy. I love Lana Del Rey's music. The poetry in this collection also feels like lyrics to her music. So I had a great time reading it, and I reread some poems from this book over the year. The haikus at the end of this book, not gonna lie, they were a bit of a flop, but the poetry I enjoyed. Next up, Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare, part of the Infernal Devices. I'm gonna put it in well, yes, only because I feel like the second and third books from this series are going to be better than the first one. So for that reason alone, I'm gonna put it in well, yes, with the mention that I really liked this book. It's set in like a almost Regency period in London, if I'm not mistaken, and obviously we are in the world of the Shadowhunters. I have to continue with this series in 2025, but the first book I enjoyed. I enjoyed a lot. Okay. I have to compose myself for this book. One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake goes straight into talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, completely unique, unafraid to reference or not reference. Love this book so much. Do I think it's my favorite from 2025 overall? I think there's a very high chance that, yes, this is my favorite. So for that reason, you know what? I'm going to make the executive decision to put it first in talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping. and we will see how I feel about it at the end of the video after everything is completed. So, Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. So Julia. This was, I feel like, very unique for Olivia Blake. This is not fantasy, it's fiction. It's a story about love, about two people falling in love, but not in a very traditional sense, let's just say. I underlined so much from this book, and I think I want to reread it at some point because I just loved it. I just loved it. Dollar God Dream Department Store. This was Go Girl, Give Us Nothing. The concept of this one is very interesting. The cover art, very cute. Very cute. That's why I bought it. But unfortunately, it wasn't executed well, in my opinion. It kind of felt flat during the ending of the story. I know a sequel came out, but I'm not going to continue with this series because I just think it's kind of, not executed that well. So yeah, moving on to the next book, Almond. Well, yes. This was a very unique story about a guy who's suffering with, I think it's called alexithymia, but I might be remembering that name wrong. Basically, he suffers from a condition that makes him not feel any sort of emotion, and as a result, he doesn't really know how to compose himself and how to react in social settings. It's very unique, very interesting. I cried quite a lot. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna put this one in So Julia. Yeah. Next up, I have a book from a Romanian author. I don't think this was translated in English. It's from Maria Orban. It's called Toată dragostea dintr-o fotografie arsă. This is about the loss of a parent. It's very sad. It's about loneliness. It's about, being at a later point in your life and trying to figure out who you are and what to do with your life, how to move forward. It was very touching. Again, I cried a lot. I don't know what I was going through in February, but this book was very good and also very short, and I think it achieved what it wanted to achieve. So I'm gonna put it in So Julia. Sheets is a graphic novel, and I kind of forgot that I read this book. So I'm not gonna insist too much on that. Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. I remember connecting with the main character. She works at a convenience store, as the title suggests, and everyone around her kind of wants for her to do more, and she doesn't really understand why, because she's happy with the point where she is in her life. So I kind of wish this went in a different direction towards the end, but I do believe it's good, and I enjoyed reading it, and it had an impact on me. So I think this should go in, well, yes. Next up, I have read the internet's favorite duology, Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. Six of Crows, I'm gonna put it in, well, yes, only because I didn't have the previous knowledge of the Grishaverse going into this. So for the first half of this book, I felt a bit confused and lost because I didn't really understand the magic system and what was happening. But afterwards, I really liked the first one. And then the second one, talented, amazing, show-stopping, loved. Crooked Kingdom, loved. Now, do I have all of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I have all of them. Let's move on to Throne of Glass. I just want to say that these are my opinions, so please don't come for me if I offend you. My intention is not to do that, I promise you. So, Throne of Glass. I have very conflictive feelings about Assassin's Blade. Do I think you should read it first? Yes. Did I enjoy reading it? No. Do I think it's mandatory for you to read it at some point during this series for the payoff at the end? Yes. But the book itself, Go Girl Give Us Nothing, because the actual payoff, like we meet these characters now, and then the actual payoff is going to be later. So that's that. Throne of Glass, the book, the first one, the one that Sarah J. Maas started writing when she was 16 or something. Library card. It was it was okay. It was okay. With Crown of Midnight, you kind of start to see the direction of the story and where the story will go in later iterations. Crown of Midnight. Well, yes. Oh, yes, I enjoyed this one. I liked the ending a lot, even though it was like super obvious, but I liked that we ended on that reveal with, I'm not going to say with what, because I don't want to spoil anyone. Heir of Fire. Heir of Fire. Heir of Fire and Queen of Shadows, I think, are going to go in well, yes. Next up, Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. I have read these books in tandem. Otherwise, I don't think I could have finished Tower of Dawn, to be honest. I was so bored and I didn't really care for anything that was happening in that book. I don't really care for the... Again, I can't name names. I don't really care for one of the characters that was the main character in that book. If you know, you know. But Empire of Storms. Empire of Storms. So, Julia, I loved Empire of Storms, and I think it's my favorite from the whole series. And then Tower of Dawn, not on my watch. Absolutely not. Kingdom of Ash, the grand finale. I'm struggling with this one because, like, sure, everything was tied up, but in the same time, I think it was kind of long and, I wished for certain things. Something just exploded outside. Oh my god, okay. Kingdom of Ash. You know what? Library card. I'm sorry. It is what it is. The Kamogawa Food Detectives, Go Girl Give Us Nothing. This was very disappointing. I did not like this book at all. And I just thought it's a cool concept, but again, the execution, not great. Not great. 10,000 Doors of January's, again. No, 10,000 Doors of January. Go Girl Give Us Nothing. I was very disappointed with this book because I thought it's going to be something and it wasn't that exact thing. And I know that's partially my fault. Again, these are just my opinions and my thoughts about these books. No disrespect to anyone. I loved the other Alexi Harrow book that I read, Starling House, that I read in 2023. I love that one. And 10,000 Doors of January felt like a struggle to get through. So, Go Girl Give Us Nothing. The reappearance of Rachel Price. So, Julia, I loved this book. I think I read it in a day. I was hooked. Like, I couldn't stop from reading this one. I feel like Holly Jackson does mystery thrillers really well. I liked the Good Girls Guide to Murder series and the reappearance of Rachel Price. I know this book is like very divisive because some people don't like it at all, But I had a great time reading it, and some unexpected things happened, but they made sense in the economy of the story overall. So the reappearance of Rachel Price was a slay. Was a slay. Solitaire by Alice Osman. Well, yes. Well, yes. Alice Osman knows how to write teenagers and what they go through at that specific age in their life. Love in the Big City. So Julia. So Julia. The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. Well, yes. Well, yes. This was very different from Leigh Bardugo, and I feel like we expected something a bit different from her. But for what it is, I think she did it well. This reads more so like a historical fiction with magical realism or like a very light fantasy element to it. But I enjoyed the story, and this made me realize that I actually like historical fiction. Next up, The Unmaking of June Farrow. This is going to go straight into talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping. I love how unexpected the plot of this book is. And I keep saying that I will read another Adrienne Young book. She has a new book coming out in January, if it's not already out by the time you're watching this. I have bought I have it here somewhere. It's called Spells for Forgetting. And I should read it eventually. But The Unmaking of June Farrow, absolutely loved. Absolutely loved. Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Not on my watch. And I'm gonna put it first in not on my watch. Icarus. I forgot it existed. Yeah, it was fine, but I don't ever think about this book. Next up, I read the Folk of the Air trilogy by Queen Holly Black. The first book, The Cruel Prince. Well, yes. Well, yes. The second one, The Wicked King. I'm trying to think if this was the book where the thing with the silly court happened. But I think it is. So I have to put it in So Julia. And then Queen of Nothing was well, yes. Well, yes. I like this trilogy overall, but I feel like the books individually are not like the best of the best. But I love how Holly Black writes fae stories. I love how cutthroat and just vicious and villainous the fae from Holly Black's world are. Next up, Funny Story by Emily Henry. I'm gonna make the controversial decision to put this book in I Forgot That You Existed. Did I enjoy it when I read it? Yes. But do I think about this book ever? Not really, no. So, I Forgot That You Existed. I'm so sorry. How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories. I think that's the full title. It's kind of a mouthful. You know what? Library card. This is a novella. You should read first the original trilogy, the Folk of the Air trilogy, because the events of this book happen after that trilogy. It's like a nice novella, but it's not mandatory for you to read in order to have like the full picture of Elfheim. So it was fine, but I wouldn't necessarily go ahead and buy it. Another novella collection by Sulin Han. This is Tales from the Celestial Kingdom. Again, library card. I liked the Celestial Kingdom duology. The novellas themselves, they're like okay, but I don't think they're like mandatory reading for the world of the Celestial Kingdom. Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. So Julia. This book is so absurd to the point where you're not really sure what's happening, and I loved it. I loved every second of it. Five Broken Blades by Mike Warland. So Julia. So Julia, and I cannot wait for the sequel to come out. I think it comes out January 7. So I will be on the lookout to read that book as soon as it's out because this one ends on a bit of a cliffhanger and I'm very excited. I'm very curious to see what happens next with this series. Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. This is going to go straight into come on. This is going to go straight into Talented, Brilliant, Incredible. I love this book so much, and you will see that I have another Coco Mellors book on the list, Cleopatra and Frankenstein. Fruit of the Dead. Fruit of the Dead, I'm gonna put it in I Forgot That You Existed, and the same with Send Nudes. Send Nudes is an anthology of short stories or like a short story collection. And obviously the title drew me in, but unfortunately I just couldn't really connect with more than one story from this book. So I Forgot That You Existed. Next up, The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland. I love this book so much. This book is so gross and dark and full of just like decaying things. You have a character whose skin is quite literally rotting and she smells like sulfur. I I love this book so much. I feel like this is a great autumnal read. The Invocations. So, so, so good. Next up, A Perfect Day to Be Alone by Nanae Aoyama. I'm gonna put this in a library card. It was a fine book, but I feel like other books did this concept better. So, library card. Maybe read it, but don't necessarily buy it. Big Swiss by Jin Begin, kind of the same thing. The main character is a bit annoying, I will say. Family Meal by Brian Washington. Talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping. Love this book. Also cried a lot. I want to read more of Brian Washington's novels because this was such a serve. Oscar Wilde's Only Dull People Are Brilliant at Breakfast. Library card. This is like full of quotes from Oscar Wilde. It was fine, but again, nothing special, I feel like. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I'm gonna put Ninth House in Well Yes and Hellbent in library card. I am very curious to see what Leigh Bardugo will do with this series because the way that Hellbent ended, I am sure there's gonna be more to this story. If you want to read the Ninth House or I think it's called the Alex Stern series, please check the trigger warnings beforehand. That's all I'm gonna say. This is Dark Academia and it deals with some topics that are not that easily to digest. So if you know you're sensitive towards certain topics, maybe be careful and check everything before you start. That's all I'm gonna say. Swimming in the Dark by Thomas Jadrowski. Incredible, brilliant, so sad, so heartbreaking, and it's a short book, but it does so much. I absolutely loved this one. If you want to read Swimming in the Dark, I would suggest you first read Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin and then go into Swimming in the Dark because Swimming in the Dark is heavily inspired by Giovanni's Room. It is mentioned a couple of times in the story and everything is tied in so well with Giovanni's Room. I feel like you need the context. It's not necessary in order for you to understand Swimming in the Dark, but I think you should have the context of Giovanni's Room beforehand. Next up, Down the Drain by Julia Fox. It would be very fitting to put Down the Drain in So Julia, but that's predictable. I'm not gonna do that because Down the Drain is a masterpiece and it is top tier. I loved this book so much and I want to reread it because I underlined a lot from this book when I read it the first time and now I want to reread it just to like process a bit more of the things that were presented in this one. It's so shocking and funny and self-aware, but not too much. It was a very nice surprise for 2024, and I think I'm gonna move it closer to One for My Enemy, because when I'm thinking about this book, I'm thinking about 2024. Like I love this book so much. Down the Drain by Julia Fox. Please read it if you want to. Just by looking at him, not on my watch. No, no thank you. The same goes for Every Time I Go on Vacation Someone Dies by Catherine Mack. No. A Tempest of Tea, Go Girl Give Us Nothing. It's reminiscent of Six of Crows, but I just don't think it was executed that well. This is a series, so I'm very curious to see how it's gonna go, but I will not be rushing to read the second book when it comes out. A Tempest of Tea. Right, by Ellie Hazelwood. Well, yes. Well, yes, this introduced me to Notting. Carmilla, not the like original Carmilla, but this is like a graphic novel inspired from Carmilla. I will say I forgot that you existed. I don't ever think about this book. It was okay. It was fine, but kind of forgettable for me personally. The English Understand Wool by Helen DeWitt. So Julia, this is, I think, 80 or 90 pages, but it does so much. I was mind blown when I read it. Should I put it in Talented, Brilliant, Incredible? You know what? I'm gonna leave it in So Julia, and I'll see how I think about that by the end of this video. Now go on Griffin Studio Ghibli. Go Girl Give Us Nothing. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I'm gonna put it in So Julia because I think the second one is going to be a bit better than this one. At least I hope, because I enjoyed the first one so much. These are the type of fairies that Holly Black would write. I love the setting of this book. I love the main characters. Had a great time, and I cannot wait for the third book to come out. I think it's gonna come out at the beginning of February in 2025. And until then, I should read the second one, because I postponed reading the second one to have the third one as well. Next up, I'm not really sure if this is the Tea Dragon. Yeah, this is the Tea Dragon Festival. This is a cute story, but I think I'm gonna put all of the Tea Dragon graphic novels in library card. Like, they're cute, they're fun, but oh, this is the third one. Okay. But I don't think about them that often, and I love the art style in them. I think you should read them if you're interested. Next up, The Hunger Games. I'm thinking what to do with these books because I absolutely love them, but I should separate them. So, Hunger Games. The first one, So Julia. The second one, Catching Fire. Talented, Brilliant, Incredible, Amazing, Show-Stopping. And then Mockingjay, I'm gonna put it in So Julia. This was a cultural reset. This was a cultural phenomenon that took us by storm in early 2010s, and now in 2025 we will have another prequel. We are going to experience Haymitch's story and Haymitch's Hunger Games. So I'm very excited for Sunrise on the Reaping to come out. I think it's going to be published in March. And you best believe I'm gonna take a day off to read that book. Bunny by Mona Awad. This is so Julia. This is so Julia. We are dealing with an unreliable narrator. This is somewhat dark academia. We don't really know what's happening. We don't really know if the character is like suffering from something or if those things actually happened. I love the fact that after you finish the book, you're like, what did I just read? And also give me more. Highly enjoyed it and would recommend 100% Bunny by Mona Awad. Next up, we have the Shepherd King duology, One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. One Dark Window. Actually, no, I'm not going to separate them. I'm going to put them in So Julia because I love this book so much. Or, yeah, I think I liked the second one a bit better than the first one. The magic system in One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns is so unique. They are using, I think they're called Providence cards, and the person that has the card, they have to touch it 2 times or 3 times, something like that, to unleash its powers. And they will be able to use that power, but also it will take a toll on their body or on their physical health. It's very unique. I've never read something quite like it before, and it was very enjoyable. Rachel Gillig, again, is going to come out with a new book in 2025. Very excited to see how that goes. Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. Well, yes, this was a reread for me. Okay Days by Jenny Mustard. So Julia, I love this book so much. Mistletoe and Mishigas, library card. Café con leche, absolutely not. Or lychee, I think it's lychee. Café con lychee, anyway. Go Girl, Give Us Nothing. I didn't like this book. Daddy by Emma Cline, library card. Because this is a short story collection, I just think I don't gel well with short stories. Actually, no, that's not true, because I read January's by Olivia Blake and I loved that one. But I will say though, Emma Cline's writing style is very interesting, very unique. I love how in depth she's able to portray these characters. But again, there were some stories that I connected with more than others, and for that reason alone, I will be including this one in the library card tier. What is this thing? The Cat Who Saved Books. Apparently, I should include it in I Forgot That You Existed because I couldn't remember the title of this one. But I'm gonna put it in Not on My Watch because I didn't like this book at all. The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. This was so Julia. This was iconic. We are dealing with a narrator, a girl who has this obsession about the blue eyes of her mother's new boyfriend, and she will not stop until she eats them. The eyes, I mean. It was very weird, but I had a great time and I love this book so much. Again, I finished this in a day. Luladin's Little Library of Banned Books. Well, yes. It tends to be a bit on the nose and it's over-explaining some things, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. Babel by R.F. Kuang. So Julia. So Julia. Or is it talented, brilliant, incredible? No, I'm gonna leave it in So Julia. I think that's fine. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So Julia. So Julia. This Fatal Kiss by Alicia Jasinska. This was my first arc that I have ever read. Library card. I enjoyed a lot the folklore aspect to it, the fairy tale vibes, the small town. I enjoyed the creatures and I think these are nymphs or water nymphs, water spirits, something like that. It was cool, but again, I wouldn't rush to buy this one. Permafrost by Eva Baltasar. Talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping. Absolutely love Eva Baltasar. You already know this by now. Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. Well, yes. Well, yes. I should really read the second book because soon I will forget what this book was about. When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. Well, yes. Well, yes. This is a very short book. It's like 100 and something pages. And for an urban fantasy, I wished this would have been a bit longer, maybe with like 100 pages more, but it was good. I had a great time reading it. I enjoyed the vibes, the atmosphere. I think this one is set in Chicago and you have a lot of underground things going on. You have like fighting clubs and a very interesting magic system. This is inspired by Polish folklore. I had a great time reading this. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I'm gonna put it in So Julia only because me personally, I didn't enjoy it as much as I wished, but this is the cornerstone. Is that a saying? The cornerstone of dark gothic stories as we know them now. Next up, Heart of the Sun Warrior by Sulin Tan. I read this one actually earlier in the year. I don't know why this is positioned here, but we're just gonna roll with it. So, Sulin Tan, Heart of the Sun Warrior. Do I think is Well Yes, or do I think is So Julia? Actually, no, I think it's Well Yes because this is a duology and I feel like the first book would have been fine on its own. So for that reason alone, I'm gonna put it in Well Yes, with the mention that I enjoyed it. Like I liked the book. It was just in the economy of the duology. I don't think it was necessary. More Days at the Morisaki Bookshop. Or is it Days at the Morisaki Bookshop? No, it's More Days. This is the sequel. The sequel, not on my watch. Absolutely not. Honey Witch, I forgot that you existed. This was fine. I remember liking it when I read it, but I don't think about this book ever. Claire Keegan's Small Things Like This, for me personally, is library card. But I know it had a huge impact on other people. I'm happy for you if you found more meaning in this one. For me, it was just okay. What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. I'm gonna put this in, well, yes, I want more T. Kingfisher. Actually, no, I have to read more T. Kingfisher because she has a lot of books published. The Secret History by Donut Hart. Brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, completely unique. Love The Secret History. We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. You know what? I'm gonna put this in Well Yes. This is kind of like if the Addams family would have been murdered and Wednesday would have survived. So Mary Cat, the main character, is dealing with the aftermath of their whole family being poisoned with sugar laced by arsenic, and her sister is suspected to have poisoned their family, basically. It's a very weird, very strange. When you read this book, you have a lot of questions because it's never explicitly explained. Explicitly explained. Oh my god, I feel like I can't talk anymore. If We Were Villains by ML Rio. Talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, absolutely loved If We Were Villains. Modern Divination, not on my watch. I have read the indie published version of this book. I think this needs a lot of editing. There were entire paragraphs with descriptions that didn't really make sense or they were not important for the economy of the story. It was a lot. It was a lot. I was kind of bored and I don't really care for this book that much. But from what I understand, this is traditionally published, so maybe this is going to be edited properly, I hope. Gallant by V. Schwab, not on my watch. I didn't enjoy this at all. And then Sally Rooney's Intermezzo, talented, brilliant, and incredible, because it was. It was really, really good. Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, I'm gonna put it in So Julia. Love Rebecca, and I am so happy that I finally found a classic that I loved and I could connect with the writing. This is very well done. It feels modern. It was incredible. I love Rebecca and I would highly recommend. Please don't be intimidated by the number of pages or by the fact that it is a classic, because Daphne du Maurier's writing style is absolutely amazing, and yeah, would highly recommend this book. TJ Klune's Somewhere Beyond the Sea. Well, yes. Well, yes. This had a big impact on me when I read it, but then afterwards it was fine. It was fine. I feel like House in the Cerulean Sea had a bigger impact on me. But I still enjoyed the sequel a lot. It truly felt like going back home. Shadow and Bone. Shadow and Bone, first book, library card. Ruin and Rising, well, yes. Siege and Storm, library card. I liked the trilogy overall. I think it's fine for the time when it was published. It's on the younger side of YA, I would say, or it feels that way. So maybe that's why I couldn't really, connect with this one. But Leigh Bardugo's writing style shines through and through, and it gets really, really good as the series progresses. Demon in the Wood, I'm gonna put it in library card as well. I liked the story, but I wished to be a bit more. But this is a novella, it's understandable. It's like a companion novel. It's not supposed to affect the trilogy in any way, shape, or form. So I just thought it's fine. Graveyard Shift by ML Rio. Was this what we wanted from ML Rio? Probably not, but it was good. It was good. I read this like super, super fast because it's like 100 and something pages. It's very well written, as you would expect from ML Rio, and it did the job. It did the job. Dracula by Bram Stoker, library card. Evocation by S.T. Gibson. I'm gonna put it in, well, yes. And then I also read the prequel novella to Evocation, which is here, Odd Spirits. I'm gonna put this one in library card. Anne of Green Gables. Anne of Green Gables is So Julia. I enjoyed Anne of Green Gables a lot, even though at the beginning I thought Anne is a bit annoying, and I still do believe she's annoying at times, but the ending of the story absolutely destroyed me. Next up, oh god, A Deadly Education, absolutely not. Actually, no, I'm a bit harsh. Let's just put it in Go Girl Give Us Nothing, and then The Lost Graduate, I'm gonna put it in a library card. I still have to read the conclusion to this trilogy, but I did not like this at all. The Villains Duology by V. Schwab. Is it the Vicious or Villains Duology? I think it's the Villains Duology, right? Anyway, Vicious. You know what? Vicious. I'm gonna put it in So Julia because I really, really liked this book. The sequel to this one, which is Vengeful, I'm gonna put it in a library card because I don't think it was relevant for the story overall in the economy of the duology, but I did like the book. I like the new characters that were introduced. I think it was well done. I just don't know if it was necessary. Januaries by Olivia Blake. I'm gonna put this in, I don't know what's with this accent. I'm gonna put it in So Julia. Fangs by Sarah Anderson. This was cute. This was really cute. This is a graphic novel about the love story between a vampire and a werewolf. And then My Neighbor Totoro by Hayao Miyazaki. This is the illustrated, not the illustrated, the comic book version or graphic novel version of the movie. Is it well, yes, or is it So Julia? I think I'm gonna leave it in well, yes. The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer. So this is going to go in So Julia. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right. Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. Kind of Go Girl Give Us Nothing. I like what this book is trying to do. I just wish the fantasy elements of it were more developed. The Nightmare Before Christmas library card. I liked this book, but it is just I can't put it in well, yes. Yeah, The 13th Child. Well, yes. And I'm running out of battery. Wait, hold on. And we are back. Okay, a magical girl retires. Well, yes. Well, yes. This is a very on the nose story. We are dealing with a girlie who finds out that she's a magical girl. Her wand or her magical wand is quite literally a credit card. And she's fighting climate change. This was well executed, even if it's very like in your face. Mammoth by Ava Baltasar. This is the depiction and definition of So Julia. Cleo and Frank, Cleopatra and Frankenstein. Did I like this one more than Blue Sisters? No, I think I'm gonna leave it in So Julia, but I love Coco Miller's so much. Murakami's newest release, The City and Its Uncertain Walls. I'm gonna put it in well, yes, only because the first part of this book was a bit of a struggle bus, but I really enjoyed where the story went in the second and then the third part. So that's that. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This was a very unexpected surprise for me personally. I didn't get the hype. I didn't understand why this book was so popular. And then I read it and I understood why this book was so popular. I am looking forward to read more books from this author. Next up, Torn Hedge by T. Kingfisher, a library card. This was okay. This is a fairy tale retelling and it deals with not with the main character because this is built upon the what is the fairy tale called? Oh my god, this is the Princess in the Tower story, whatever, and is not focusing on the princess but on this other character that was kidnapped by the Fae and now she's returned to the human world. It's a very interesting concept. Is it well, yes? You know what? I think it is well, yes. Well, yes. Yeah, okay. I'm glad I could convince myself. Next up, Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I know what I'm gonna do. So Mistborn, well, yes. Or The Final Empire, the first book in the Mistborn series. And then the second and third, the second is So Julia, and then the third, Slay. The third is talented and incredible and brilliant. I love the ending so much. I love how the story progresses. I love how the characters are evolving so much from the first book until the last book. This spans throughout multiple years. I love the time that we spend alongside these characters. And actually, you know what? Mistborn deserves to be in So Julia as well. Because I'm thinking of a specific thing that happened at the end of the story that I didn't expect. So I think that's correct. Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. So Julia. I think it is So Julia. I enjoy this story a lot. An Academy for Liars. Let's see. Well, yes. Well, yes. Speaking of Dark Academia and An Academy for Liars, where is it? A Dark and Drowning Tide, not on my watch. And also The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I'm gonna put it in well, yes for now. Sorry, I don't know why I scrolled that far. I'm gonna put it in well, yes so far because I know the second and third book are going to be absolutely insane. But I liked the first one a lot. I'm very curious to see what will happen next. Everyone this Christmas has a secret library card. It was fine, but I wouldn't spend my money on it necessarily. Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. Only because of the fact that it got me really excited to read Brandon Sanderson, I'm gonna put it in So Julia. And obviously the story is really cool as well. I love how it's very on the nose and it almost like nudges you in a direction. It will tell you a joke and then the main character is like, well, see what I did there? Like, do you get it? Do you get it? I made a joke. It was so fun. What else? The Ember series by Sabata here. This is another one that's very tough because I love this series so much. Okay, let's see. First two, I'm going to put them in, well, yes. And then the last two, A Reaper at the Gates, I'm gonna put it in So Julia, and then A Sky Beyond the Storm, I'm gonna put it in Talented and Brilliant and Incredible and Amazing and Show-Stopping. And honestly, the whole series is top tier. Like, I love this series so much. But if we're picky, I liked the third and fourth book better than the first two. So that is that. A novella by Olivia Atwater, The Lord Sorcerer. I'm going to put it in a library card because this is a novella. It's like 44 pages or something like that with the backstory of two of the main characters from the Half a Soul book. It was fine. It was enjoyable, but it's a 44-page novella, you know. Lady Macbeth by Ava Reed. Go Girl, Give Us Nothing. I was very excited for this book, and unfortunately it kind of flopped. I liked the atmosphere and the writing style. My problem was with the plot because it just didn't go anywhere, so I was very sad because of that. Spectacular by Stephanie Garber. Not on my watch. This was weird. I didn't enjoy this one at all. Cassandra Clare's Swordcatcher. Cassandra Clare's Swordcatcher. Where to put Swordcatcher? I'm gonna put it in, well, yes, because the second book is coming out in March or April. I'm not sure, but I'm looking forward to that one as well. And knowing Cassandra Clare, I think it's going to become like crazier and crazier as the story progresses. So I'm patiently waiting for the Ragbigger King, I think it's called. And then the last two books that I read in 2024, and we are almost done. I am so happy this is almost done because my voice is just not great right now. Okay. The Orange and Other Poems by Wendy Cope. This is gonna go in Talented and Brilliant and Incredible and Amazing and Show-Stopping. And then Maglue by Tessa Moshaveg. You know what? I'm gonna put this in So Julia because this was very short and I am very curious to see how a full-length novel from this author will do for me personally. So based on what it is, it's done very well. So I think it deserves to be in So Julia, and we are done. We are done. So this is my definitive ranking as of right now as of the day I'm filming this, but this might change. Like I think I'm gonna start editing this video and I will be already like second guessing myself, but this is not that serious. It's just how I'm feeling right now after reading all of these books in 2024. Let's look a bit at the top tier and see if we can rearrange these books a bit. So this is so hard. This is so hard. I made it insanely hard for no reason, and now I have to commit to it. I don't know. I don't know what to do. You know what? I'm not gonna reorder this. These are all my favorites from 2024. I'm not gonna do this to myself because it's insanely hard and I will not be able to sleep at night. But yeah, these are my top books from 2024. Honestly, I think you would be fine with reading any of these. What do I do? What do I say at the end of the video? I am not well, as you can see. Thanks for watching, I guess, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye everyone.